Hi, it's Tansel here. Now today I'm going to show you how to improve your memory in a very short space of time. And we're going to use some techniques, we're going to use some memory principles, but most of all, you're going to learn something that maybe you've never come across before. So stay tuned right till the end and see how that all works. Now the memory techniques is a very interesting concept because when we learn about memory, especially at school, all we're really taught is repetition, rote learning. So in our heads, we're repeating over and over and over and over again, right? So the trick is to not be able to do that. Yet there is a system that can help you. So let's look at that. Now, before we get into it, I want to do a little memory test with you. I want to see how well your memory is. Now, obviously, I can't see, but you'll be able to experience it and play along and get the result you're after or not the result. So either way, we're going to test your memory and see how that goes. So I'm going to give you a bunch of words and you have to try and memorize these words to the best of your ability. Okay, now I'm going to go a little faster than usual, but try and keep up. Don't write anything down. Try and retain what I'm saying to you in your head. Okay, are you ready? All right, here we go. We're getting into it straight away. First word, gun, shoe, tree, door, beehive, sticks, heaven, gate, wine, and pen. Now in your head you could be going cat, dog, tree, car, computer, COVID-19, YouTube. You could be doing all sorts of things inside your head. But what we're trying to do is not confuse you, because that could be disastrous, right? In your head, it could be disastrous, right? So I'll just explain how this memory stuff works. Right? When we're trying to retain information, as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to repeat, right? We're going over and over and over. We're saying table, 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 chair, 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 chair. And we're trying to remember as much as we can. But where is that information going, right? It's actually going to our short-term memory. Right? And our short-term memory isn't designed for remembering large amounts of information, right? It's actually useful for remembering things like where we parked our car or left our keys. And even then we still get it wrong, right? So the trick is to be able to store it in longer term memory. And the only way to do that is to create almost like folders on your computer, right? But inside your head. So if you've got all these files and folders, you don't just put everything on your desktop. And if you're that person, you have to really change a few things around, So don't put everything on your desktop. Put them into folders, you organize them, right? And whenever you want that bit of information, you go back into that folder and you retrieve it. Simple as that, right? So how many folders have you got on your computer? You've probably got hundreds, right? So, and you know where the information is because it's sorted either alphabetically or in categories. However your sorting system works, it works. No matter how chaotic, no matter how organized, you still have those folders, right? For those people that don't have a computer, it's like a filing cabinet, right? So we want to be able to create those folders, and you can create as many as you can. So that's the cool part about memory techniques. Create the folders in your head, put the files in, and then whenever you want to retrieve them, go straight to the folder and say, okay, I need this file, and bang, you retrieve it. Now, how cool is that to be able to go into the folder at any given point in time and retrieve that file? So that's what we want to be able to do. So imagine someone comes up to me and says, hey, what were the 10 steps of this, or what was this book about, or what did this person say, or what was, this particular document saying, right? Whatever you have to try and recall, right? What were the shopping items that I needed to go and get? And you go straight to your folder in your head and you go, okay, this is where I stored them. Bang, here's the list, or here are the items. Here's a bit of knowledge. I'm just going to recite it back. Bang, perfectly, right? How would that feel if you're able to do that? That's pretty impressive stuff, pretty cool stuff. And be able to turn it on anytime is pretty awesome, right? So we're going to look at that. So let's get back to our little test. Now, I gave you a few words to try and remember. Let's see how you went. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test your recall. And how I'm going to test your recall is I'm going to give you a random number, and you have to try and remember which word was corresponding in the list earlier to that order of that number, right? So we need to look at the order and how it corresponds to that number. So let's give it a crack anyway. And you can write these down if you like, or just say them out loud, whatever works for you. All right, so here we go. So the seventh word. So I want you to think of, okay, what was the seventh word that I said in the list earlier? Write that down or say it out loud. Cool. Fourth word. Second word. Sixth word. 10th word. Now at this stage, usually people go, well, how many words were there? Right? So I've been doing this for many, many years. And yeah, people often get confused how many words, but let's see how we go. So 10th word, first word, fifth word, ninth word, eighth word, and the third word. Okay, so I've given you 10 items there to remember. So let's see how you went. If you want, you can pause this video and maybe have a couple of seconds more to think of those words that you've got in your head. Okay, let's go through the answers. Now, I'm just going to go through from 1 to 10. And what you can do is you can mark off the answers. Now, I've got a little bit of a scoring system happening. If you get the word right in any order, you give yourself 1 point. If you get the word correct in the correct order, you give yourself 2 points, right? So total score is out of 20, right? And the reason why I do that is if you get a low score, it just looks worse. So I want to make sure that you're really working hard here. So here we go. So the first word, that was gun, right? So if you got gun in number 1, you give yourself 2 points, right? If you got it anywhere else, give yourself 1 point. Second word was shoe. Third word, tree. Fourth word, door. 5, beehive. 6, sticks. 7, heaven. 8, gate. 9, wine. And 10, pen. Now, if you got all those words, congratulations. That's a really decent effort. Not many people can get all those words. But tally up your score and see how much you get. Now, the average score from the last 16 years I've been doing this at least has been about 6 out of 20, right? So if you've got more than 6, let's say more than 8 even, then that's in the sort of more rare range, even though it's pretty crap in terms of your memory, right? If you've gotten less than 6, then you might have a little bit of a problem. We'll see. But not many people get more than 10. So if you got more than 10, that's a pretty decent effort, right? So let's go back and look at those words again. So 1 gun, 2 shoe, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 beehive, 6 sticks, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 wine, and 10 pen. Now, if you're smart enough, or I guess if you've realized something, there's a pattern there. And the pattern is the number is rhyming with the word, right? So if you've already got that, good stuff, good job. If you haven't got it, not a worry. It is kind of hard to get all that in the midst of all this talking, but I do that for a reason. So even the middle bit was a little bit of a distraction for you. So pretty funny stuff. But once you get it, you get it. So cool. Now, this wasn't just a memory test. This is also a memory technique, creatively called the number rhyme technique. And what we can do with this is we can use it to memorize stuff. Now, you know how before I was talking about the folders in your head? Well, we're going to use this number rhyme to create the folders in our head. So we're going to put information in. And I'll give you an example. So 1 gun, 2 shoe, 3 tree, they're all going to be the folders. And what we're going to do is we're going to memorize, let's say we're going to start off with a shopping list. We're going to memorize a shopping list in these folders. Now, obviously you can use whatever you want, right? But for the sake of shortening this video, I'm just going to use a shopping list. And once you're done with this video and watch the whole way through, you could test out some other things. Like, for example, I used to use this technique to run public speaking courses. And people used to memorize their talk just by putting the keywords in. So I can explain a bit about that later. But for now, let's go and memorize this shopping list. So here we go. So let's say the first item we want to buy is milk. Now, instead of going milk, 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 milk inside your head all the time and repeating, that's not going to help you, because what's going to happen is the more you repeat, the more it might stick in your head, but we need something a lot stronger than that, right? Repetition is not going to cut it. And if you're the person that's got a really bad memory and you've tried repetition before, you know how it is. It becomes stressful, right? Even for someone like me, who's a 4-time Australian memory champion, if I was to go and repeat something, I'd still forget it, right? It's just the nature of how our brain works. So what we need to be able to do is we need to create a story, build a narrative by using our imagination. So here's how we can do it, right? Our first item was gun, right, in our rhyming list. If we were to memorize milk, what we can do is do milk and gun together in a story. Now, how can we do that? Well, you can just say, I shut the milk. Milk went everywhere, right? That's a nice little story in your head. Maybe you shot it multiple times and there's milk pouring out of the carton, or it's a milk bottle, you shot it and it shattered everywhere, right? So this is the kind of story that we're looking at. Now, the more elements you add to it, the more you're going to remember. So for example, you can remember the sound that it makes as you shoot the milk. Maybe the taste, maybe you're getting milk all over your face as you shoot it, right? So the more elements you add, the easier it is to remember. So let's keep going. Number 2 was shoe. So let's say shoe and cereal, breakfast cereal, right? So you could say someone put breakfast cereal in your shoe, right? And you put your feet in, and guess what? Your feet started crackling in. You had that crackling sensation under your feet. Or you can say you're eating cereal out of your shoe, right? How would that feel? How would that smell? It's got that beautiful shoe aroma, right? Next one, we've got tree, and let's say onions, right? So at this point, people are going, well, some people anyway, they go, well, onions don't grow on trees, so I'll make it on the base of the tree. So we'll go, oh yeah, but onions growing on the base of the tree. Well, guess what? You can use your imagination. You can use your imagination and make something really crazy. So for example, you can have this beautiful onion tree, right? There's an onion tree outside, just outside where you are. And there's hundreds of people climbing up this onion tree. They're all crying just to get to these onions, right? They're all biting, crying. Yes, I got those onions. So try and visualize that, right? Onions don't grow on trees, but you can make it. You can make it so, and you can add the element of people crying just to get to the onions. Do you see where I'm getting at with this? So build the story up. Next one, we got 4 is door. So let's say door and butter. Right now, we've got a door, maybe the doorknob, you put butter all over it, or someone put butter all over it, and you put your hand, you turn the knob, and guess what? Your hand's all sticky and buttery. And you know, try and feel that buttery sensation on your fingers. Do you really love it? Do you absolutely hate it? You know, if you're someone like OCD like me, you'd want to wash your hands straight away, right? Although that's what we should be doing now these days, shouldn't we? So butter on your hands when you've touched the door, or maybe someone sprayed the door with butter or covered it in butter. Can you see where I'm getting at? Cool. Next one. 5 is beehive. So beehive and cucumber. Now we could say we could stick the cucumber in the beehive, but it's not a strong enough story. So if we want to make it stronger, maybe we can say I'm hitting the beehive with the cucumber, right? Almost like a piñata, and the bees come out and start chasing you, right? The story I usually have when I'm doing this in front of people is, the bees are taking a day off and they're smoking cucumbers in the beehive, right? So at that point, people are going, Tansel, what drugs are you on? Right, so we need to make it colorful. We need to make it exciting. Some things aren't going to be exciting. That's fine, as long as you've got a story in there that utilizes some of the elements like exaggeration and color, and use your imagination. Cool. Next one, we've got 6 is sticks. So sticks, and let's say tomatoes. Now you could say tomatoes growing on sticks, and that's totally fine. But that's something we could see every day, or something that we're familiar with. So how about something we're not familiar with? Maybe poking the tomatoes with the sticks, and tomatoes going everywhere, right? Or maybe we're playing tennis or baseball or cricket with the tomatoes with the sticks. So we can imagine something like that happening. A bit more exciting than the tomatoes growing on the sticks. And it's got a bit of movement in there. You're hitting it. There's a splash in your face, explosion, whatever it is. You can feel it. You can sense it. So try and do that as you're going through the stories. Cool. Next one. So 7 is heaven. So let's say lettuce. Right, it's a tricky one. Lettuce in heaven. What can we do? Well, maybe we can say the clouds up in lettuce were, clouds up in heaven were made with lettuce, right? And you're, maybe laying on top of it, or maybe there's lettuce falling down from the sky, right? Or usually people, in my sessions say, let us into heaven, right? And a play up on words. So try and visualize all that stuff again. Cool. Number 8 was gate. So let's say gate and cheese, right? Now we can have the cheese was next to the gate. Again, that's kind of boring. Maybe the cheese is the gate, right? So the gate was made out of cheese and you had to bite your way through to get to the other side. And then realize you're lactose intolerant, had to run back to the other side, right? So visualize cheese gate. Next one, we got 9 is wine. So wine and let's say chicken, right? Now we can have a beautiful dish made with wine and chicken. You can say coq au vin, or you can also have, drunk chickens. They're walking around, with a wine bottle, whatever noise they're making, being drunk on the wine. And finally, you've got pen and let's say apple, right? So you can look at the two elements of, what an apple is, what a pen. You can draw on an apple, you can stick the pen in the apple, or you can even think of that Apple Pen song. Whatever you want to do, you can combine those two together in a story and make it really, really powerful. Cool. So now we've done those 10 stories. Let's see what you can recall. Now, we didn't go back and repeat any of them, did we? Right? I just went through those stories. I went through a bit quicker than usual, just so it can really challenge you and test you, because in real life I go a bit slower so people can understand, but we're on video now, so I want to really, really test you and see where you go. So here we go. I'm going to give a random number again, all right? And you have to try and remember what that word was in the list before. Okay, so here we go. Number 7. Right, so I've said 7. You got to think of heaven. What was happening up in heaven? What was the story? And then the word. Right, so that's how we're going to do it. You got 7? Cool. Next one. Number 4. Again, think of the door and think what was happening with the door. Got it? Cool. Next one. Number 2. Number 6. Number 10. Number 1. Number 5. Number 9. Number 8. And the final one, number 3, which was the tree. Now, I could obviously say the rhyming number. That's not a problem. It's what's inside that you have to try and get. So tally up your score, right, after we go through the answers, and let's see how you went. So here we go. Number 1, I'm going to start from 1 to 10. 1 was gun, and what was the story I made there? With milk. So milk was the first one, right? So give yourself 2 points if you got that in the first one. And if you haven't, if you've got it somewhere else, give yourself 1 point. So we're doing the score out of 20 again. Right? Number 2 was shoes. So what was shoes? Cereal. So give yourself 2 points for cereal if it's in number 2. Number 3, tree. So onions. 4, door, butter. 5, beehive. And what was that? Let's give you a guess. Cucumber. That's right. Beehive is cucumber. Number 6, sticks, tomatoes. Number 7, heaven, lettuce. Number 8, gate, cheese. Number 9 was wine and chicken. And number 10, can you guess what number 10 was quickly? That's right, pen and apple, right? You got apples. So tally up your score. Let's see how you went. Now, usually the first test people get around 6. That's the average. In this test, if you get around 18 or more, then that's 200% improvement on what you've had from when you first started. 200% memory improvement just in under 20 minutes. So think about that. If you've got a score of 20 now, once you've calculated it, that's a massive improvement. Even if you got a score over 12, that's 100% memory improvement. That's insane, right? That's insane. When I first did this, I didn't improve by that much. So, you know, it's these little things that matter when you get into memory improvement. You could take this number rhyme technique and put other things in there. You could put numbers in there. You could put keywords for a talk. You can do whatever you want, right? You can memorize a ton of stuff. Now, there's obviously more techniques out there that you can use to better memorize things. But for now, this is a really cool introduction into memory. So if you've never done any memory techniques before, this is pretty fun. And you can also do this with kids. You can maybe just change a few of the words around, like instead of using gun for one, you can use bun or fun, right? Two could be poo, right? You can make up your own rhyming numbers, right? So that's pretty cool like that. So you can use this technique to memorize a whole load of stuff and play around and have lots of fun with it, because that's the whole idea of memory, is to enjoy yourself, have lots of fun, freak people out. And the cool thing is, get this, not only you can put one item in each rhyme, right, rhyming word, but you can do 2 items. You could put 3, you could put 4, you could put 5, you could put as many as you want, right? So imagine you put 10 things onto one item. So for example, with gun, you had the items banana, you had apple, you had laptop, you had chairs, and all you have to do is make a story connecting those together, right? So once you do that, let's say you had 10 in each one, 10 times 10, that's 100 items. Now that's pretty crazy. You're not going to do that every day, of course, but nice little challenge for you as well. So that's it for today's video. If you've got any questions, feel free to message me, comment below. If you want more of these little lessons, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because that's where I'm going to post all these videos out. Share the video, because not a lot of people know about this stuff. Share the video, like the video, and like I said, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.